What's up, Block family? This is DeAnna Taylor. I am your editor-in-chief, and today we are having a very, very, very special conversation with P-Valley's own Lil Murda, aka Alsphonse Nicholson. So we are going to get to know the man, the actor, the father, the fiance, all of that stuff, and just what it took for him to get from where he started to where he is today, because I think a lot of people have this misconception that a lot of stars that we see today, they just instantly appear on our TV, and it's not that easy. Like, this man has been out here grinding for years to get to this place, and this is only the beginning. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself. So go ahead, tell the people who you are, you know, where you're from, and then let's talk about where your passion for theater and the arts began.
Most definitely. Well, DeAnna, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure meeting you, a few months ago for the Broccoli Con panel. I was just so, inspired by all of you, but especially just the Black women that were on the panel and how, eloquent you guys were and how you articulate yourself. So I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, we are you from North Carolina?
Yeah, I'm from Charlotte too.
We from the same state. So shout out to NC. But yeah, I'm J. Alphonse Nicholson. My good friends know me as Alphonse or Fonz. And yeah, I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina, and went to Dudley High School. Grew up in that small town, and what I learned was a small town once I moved outside of there. But that's a brief introduction of who I am.
All right, so I guess when exactly did your passion for acting, theater, all of that kind of begin?
I would say I've always had it. I just didn't know until maybe I was 18.
Okay.
And I went to North Carolina Central University. Shout out to North Carolina Central and the Eagles.
Law school, so yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. And so I went there believing I was going to be a musician. I was in a band at Dudley. You know how we get down. It was either A&T or Central. And I said, I want to get a little bit away from Greensboro. So I went to Central, and my first semester there, this woman came up to me. Her name was Karen Deacons-Brock. And she is an amazing theater professor there. And she said, listen, you got a lot of personality. She just saw me in the hallway. And she said, I want you to come and audition for this play. And I'm like, okay, cool. My mom wrote church plays, and I've been able to, I did stand-up comedy coming out of high school. So all these kind of little dots started connecting. And so I went and auditioned for the play, and she said, I'm going to give you the lead role. And so she gave me the lead role in the play, and I just loved it. I fell in love with it. The play was called Home. It was by Sam Mark Williams, and Sam Mark Williams was someone who's written for Martin Lawrence, the TV show Martin Lawrence, the TV show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So this iconic Black playwright, screenwriter, and that was my first opportunity to work with him. And so I got the bug, and from then on, I knew that's what I wanted to do for a living. And once I found out that you can make a pretty good living doing it, I said, okay, I have to make sure I get to a point to where I can sustain and feed my family by doing this.
That's dope. So I guess, what was it like, that journey, or that kind of in between from Central to the next step? Like, what happened there?
From Central, I went to Central for 3 years. I didn't finish. I dropped out because I immediately knew once, after I did maybe 3 or 4 plays within that area, community theater, I did 2 plays at Central. I said, I have to reach a different pinnacle, because there's only so much that you can get here in North Carolina. So in between, I worked at Playmakers Repertory Company, which is in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And I did 3 shows there and worked at all the community theaters in that area. So I'm making like $500 a month off the show. They don't got a lot of money to give. Playmakers Repertory Company was a professional, equity theater. So they had money that they can give you. And I also was gaining equity points at the time. But prior to that, getting at Playmakers, like I said, I was doing these community theaters where they like, listen, we got $500 for you for 4 weeks. You come in, do a show. But I had an opportunity to work with some amazing actors, some of the best actors I've worked with in my career in Durham, North Carolina, in Raleigh, in Chapel Hill. And, that's, if you're from that area, it's full of the arts and people just really chopping it up. Black playwrights, Howard Kraft, who was an amazing playwright out of North Carolina, was my first professional play called Caleb Calypso and the Midnight Marauders. Shout out to Howard Kraft and Joseph Meagle, who directed that play, who are still two of my great friends to this day. And so in that time span, you know, right after Central, and like I said, I did a lot of regional theater, and then I kind of got, once I became Equity, which is a union, a stage union, I was able to travel around the country and do a lot of regional theater, Actors Theater of Louisville, City Theater of Pittsburgh, Shakespeare Theater out in California, which is where I met my fiance because I did a show with her daughter. So I don't think I even told that story. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the drop right here. So people, you know, that's how I met my fiance. I did a show with her daughter out there, who's an amazing actress, and yeah, that's how we 4 years ago, going on 5 years. That's how we met. So it was a lot that I did in between that time. It was like a 5 year span before I moved to New York. And then a lot of other things start happening there. So that's kind of the mix of what happened in that small little bit of time.
Dope. And so a lot of people don't know, but you have been on Broadway. So how did that, experience culminate? And then what exactly did you do on Broadway? And is that where your passion is, or do you prefer TV?
Yeah, well, shout out to my cast, by the way. This is a shirt from Soldier's Play right here, 21st to 21st Company. We just got nominated for 7 Tonys. So shout out to everybody on the cast. Shout out to David, Alan Greer, and Blair Underwood. But Broadway, yeah, that's the pinnacle as far as it goes when it comes to stage. And it was such a milestone when I was able to reach it. You know, it was one of those things. I had done so many plays, so many regional theaters, a lot of off Broadway at that point. And once you get that first Broadway credit, it makes you feel like hell yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm in here, I'm a real thespian out this month, excuse my language, but
you good.
It was one of those things where it was an accomplishment. And yes, I do. I would say I prefer the stage as far as like sharpening the tool, right? It just constantly gets that velocity muscle, as I call it, just flexing, and like right now, this is how I like to be on stage. And you and I haven't had this conversation. We're just breathing and believing. We're not thinking about it. It's just boom, boom, boom. So the stage allows you to experience that fully. Where in TV and film, you get it in spurts, and you may start at this end of the story. With the stage, you get the entire arc every time. And so I like that challenge that comes with that. But that TV pay the bills. TV and film is gonna get you where you got to be for sure. And Broadway, it'll take care of you. But when you live in a city like New York, it only expands but so far.
Yeah, that's real. So I guess, of course, everybody wants to know, how did the opportunity for P Valley come? And like when you first got that call or that email, like what was your initial kind of reaction?
Man, it was so many things that led up to P Valley. 7 years of hard work. Going from TV show to TV show, guest star here, guest star here. I tell people I'm one of those familiar faces. You'll go back like, damn, he was in that. I seen him in that. So it took a steady grind, as I like to say. It took me street drumming through the streets of New York to make that side money while I'm doing plays and guest stars here. But what led to P Valley was this show called Paradise Blue by Dominique Morisseau that I did at Signature Theater, and I played Blue. I was blessed to play the lead role. It's a story about this trumpet player who ends up suffering from a mental illness. And Katori Hall came to see me in that show. And she, after the opening night, she pulled me aside. She said, listen, she gave me all these kind words and compliments. I gave her my card. I was still real card savvy. I had my little cards in my pocket, gave it to her. And she called me like 6 months later and said, yo, I think I got a role for you. I want you to audition for it. She emailed me actually. And I emailed it back like, yo, send me the script. Boom, boom, boom. I sent it to my people. We got the tape done. We sent it to her, and the rest was history. I got the phone call that I got the pilot first. So with how series work is that you get picked up for a pilot. That don't mean you got the whole series. So we got the pilot. Yeah, I'm crying, all of that. We calling parent, we calling my mom, we jumping up and down with my lady, and I'm calling my son, I love you, man, this, baby. So, everybody feeling good. not knowing in my head, I'm still like, listen, I got to get picked up for the series. And
Exactly.
so we murdered the pilot, no pun intended. And once we got picked up for the series, I knew that my life was going to be changed, and that I was going to be okay for a little bit, and I just wanted to continue to push the needle forward. And yeah, that's what we did.
So what did it take to kind of make that transition from, I mean, again, you said you've appeared, on certain shows as a guest, but what did it kind of take to make that mental transition? Like, okay, I'm a main character on this show, I'm used to doing stage, but like, how do you make that transition?
I was already very confident in my abilities because I've been able to play, lead characters on stage, and being able to have other opportunities prior to P Valley that kind of were like, I did Just Mercy before I did P Valley. So here I am working with Michael B. Jordan, one of the top A-list actors in the game. And I was holding my own, and in that film, I was able to kind of set a tone for myself and those around me to kind of really go after it. And so that gave me a boost, an incredible amount of confidence. But I've always just been confident in my abilities and knowing that this is a craft just like any other job, and you have to get that job done well in order to succeed in it and take care of your loved ones. And so, that at the forefront of my mind, that's just kind of how I led my everyday work. And, knowing that the purpose was much larger than me, the type of role that I portray. And so it was, I'm doing it for a community that serves a much larger purpose than I can solely, just alone. And so yeah, that's how I kind of stepped into it, and I said, yeah, let's do this. Series regular, born for this, cut for this, and I just wanted to remain humble at the same time and grateful for the opportunity, and make sure that the environment I was working in was always comfortable for those around me. And so um yeah, I was ready, man, and I'm ready for season two. And like you said at the beginning
Y'all
of the
are
conversation,
definitely.
yeah, this is just the beginning, man. I
Right.
plan on doing a lot in this business. I already got some good things happening, going on next. But yeah, it's just the beginning.
We're going to talk about what you got going next, but I do have one question, of course. So, a lot of people want to know, like, as a straight man, obviously, why was it still important for you to play a role like this? Like, you briefly just spoke on it, as far as kind of being that representation for a community that sometimes goes, overlooked, and things like that. But, beyond that, like, personally, why did you feel the need to play this role?
You know, I'm an artist and I'm a storyteller, and I believe in stories that have an impact on our community. And so when you feel like the ancestors or your people that you link with are calling you to do something, and you have the gift to to do that, you have to understand who you're doing it for. And I'm doing it for my brothers that I know in the community. I'm doing it for my sisters, my cousins, people I grew up right next to. And I said, damn, you Lil Murda. You know, and I could see it, and like, damn, you a complex motherfucker. You go through a lot of different shit, but you have to deal with this stigma that the community puts on you in such a negative way. And I could only imagine what that's like to deal with that for a lifetime or 30 years or however it is until you're able to feel comfortable in that situation. So at least I can do is deal with it for 6 months, and tell a story that's going to change people's lives. And that's my way of protesting. When I talk to my lady about it, I say, yeah, I'm not a front lines type of motherfucker. I'm not going to be out there in the front lines because I got to be kind of sniper, silent assassin with mine, because I got to be here to take care of my family. Salute to everybody that's doing the front line. I don't mind taking the back seat, but I'm not out there protesting in the streets or anything like that. But I will tell a story that can touch millions of people, and change their perspective or change their heart on how they see their loved one and how we treat one another. And so, yeah, there's certain boundaries that I may not want to cross, as a heterosexual man, but there's certain things that you can do that's not going to totally blow you away or make you feel like you're a totally different person. There's things you can do in storytelling that, as long as you're comfortable and secure in who you are, you know that you can serve a much larger purpose. So that's the rundown on that.
That's beautiful. All right. So you mentioned, you have a lot more coming up.
Mhm.
So beyond P Valley, what else do you have going on and what's next?
So we definitely, doing the music thing a little bit now, where we dropping just a couple little splashes here and there. But I'm also, I love creating music on all levels. I'm a percussionist, as we talked about. So I started as a drummer, and I just want to continue to push that and do some drum based instrumental albums and just some really dope covers, but also some some features here and there on some songs or releasing some whole songs. So we're doing that. And then I have some really dope projects coming up with this narrative podcast that I can't talk too much about, but it's really dope. You all will be able to see that. And I just did a film called Southern Gospel down in Georgia, and I had a good time working with those people. So that'll probably be coming out sometime next year. But yeah, that's about it for now. And then we just, if you haven't seen Self Made, go back and watch that on Netflix. And Just Mercy is one of those films that I tell people it's imperative that you see, because I didn't know that it was that bad. That with Black men being incarcerated, over incarcerated, especially for things that they didn't do or getting sentences that are just extremely too harsh. So, check that out, and all the stories that Brian Stevenson has to really, change your perspective on how you can tap in with that. So that's the last thing I'm gonna say with that. But I appreciate it.
All right. So, as a Black man, as a creative, why is it important for you to play these roles that are, pivotal in telling our stories, that are, like you said, bringing certain narratives to light, and just, showing people a different perspective, not just on P Valley, but in Just Mercy and any other films or even the stage plays that you've starred in? Kind of why is that important to you to tell those stories?
Everybody deserves to have their story told, even the most complex people. And I enjoy trying to bring some type of humanity to these complex characters, man. And that's a challenge within itself.
Mhm.
But I also know these people, man. I know people that've been through similar obstacles in life with the characters that I play. And so it's a way where I can lean into that and be super authentic and honest with it that I think serves me as an artist and serves anybody that I'm working with. So, um, I think that's why those roles, I gravitate towards those roles. But I want to continue to do all types of stuff. I want to do cartoons, and right now we trying to get in that voiceover market really hard, and animated, live action, all that type of stuff.
So I was gonna ask, like, do you like seek out specific roles, or are you pretty much open, to seeing what the role is and then, kind of seeing if it fits who you are?
Well, me and my team, we definitely have a pat, things that we talk about that we want to go after. I got to be in Black stories. I have to tell Black stories. We want to lead in Black roles. We want to work with Black playwrights, Black screenwriters, producers, on all levels. But I'm not opposed to working with my other colleagues and other people too, and telling some superhero stories, whatever, just as long as the superhero is elevated in a sense, and maybe I like to work on diverse platforms. So we do seek those, but I am open to whatever comes to the office, and we can read through it. And my fiance is, kind of like my head when it comes to that type of stuff. Like we really chop it up about everything, and she'll say, nah, turn that shit down. Like, or you don't need to do that. It's going to have you looking weak, or it's going to have you, not representing yourself in the best light. So she and I have strong conversations about things, but we're open. I don't like to just completely turn my head towards things, because no bag left behind, as I
Exactly.
like to say. But all bags ain't a good bag. So you gotta,
Okay,
you
that part.
gotta
That part.
that.
So now that I'm not going to say you've reached the height of your career, because there's still so much more for you to do, obviously. But what advice can you offer? A lot of our audience is based in North Carolina, here in Charlotte. But what advice can you offer for the struggling creative, for the aspiring creative, whether it's acting, music, anything? What advice would you give them?
Well, I'll say this, right? Like the struggling actors term, or struggling artist. Like I never believed in that, because you got to pay your rent either way.
Right.
Whether you're an artist, whether you're a teacher, whatever. And so you don't want to be struggling at none of that shit. You want to just be able to get good at it and understand that, okay, there's certain levels to it. And I got to pay my rent either way. So I got to figure that out. Whether I'm getting a little side job here, boom, 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 boom. But do not just be sitting around waiting for that art to make money. because it don't work like that. You got to put yourself in a position to where that you'll get to the money, and then don't let the money be the main focus either. I had to learn that the hard way. You know, you start to think that money is the end all be all. And I feel like the first time I got a 5-figure check, I woke up the next day was still upset about the shit I was mad at, but the day or two before. And you thinking like, oh, you gonna be so, it's like, nah, man, don't work like that. So don't let that be the goal. Let that kind of be an incentive and the cherry on top. But pursue every and anything you do 100%. Don't have a balance. I can't be the best actor I can be out here, but I'm being a shitty father and I'm being a shitty fiance. You know, I had to really check in with myself about that several times. So check in with yourself, continue to motivate yourself, keep strong people around you. Don't be like this. Don't be, you know, you gotta pull yourself up, pull other people up with you. You know, I had Bubba Chuck Davis, who used to teach at North Carolina Central, RP to him. He told me that. He said, Alphonse, you being like this right now. Because I wanted him to like pass me for this class, and I wasn't coming to the class and nothing. I just knew how to do the little African dance. I hit it, boom, I left, and he took me outside. He said, Alphonse, you trying to be like this? I'm gonna give you an F, since that's what you want. And next time I'm gonna teach you this lesson right here. And that shit stuck with me for a long time. So I passed that on to my North Carolinians and say, listen, keep pulling yourself up, pull others up while you can, and stay focused on your grind. And don't fall into that struggling mentality. Everybody got problems.
Yeah.
We all got problems. And even when you get money, you go have problems too. More money is more problems, to be honest with you. And so just to continue to think about your goals and set your specific goal. Don't allow your goal to be somebody else's goal and you comparing yourself to somebody else, and cherish the milestones. I don't give a damn if it's a little small little 500 a month. Got it. I'm a add it to the wall. Now you got this entire foundation that's really strong and structured, and now you can fucking add shit on top of it because that foundation ain't going nowhere. So yeah, that's my little 2 minute whatever advice, you know.
I love it. I love it. So we won't hold you very much longer, but let people know where they can find you, where they can follow you, how they can support you, all that good stuff.
You guys can definitely continue to support me through social media at J underscore FONZ on Instagram, and then my Twitter is at J Alphonse underscore N. And so follow me on those platforms and just continue to follow the music on Apple Music and Spotify. Just type in J. Alphonse Nicholson, bump all that P Valley stuff, and then check out some of my own personal music that I put out as well. So yeah, just thank you so much, DeAnna, for having me. Like I said, when I first met you, I said, wow, this black woman is just everything. You can tell you're going to continue to just push the culture forward and using your platforms to do your thing. So thank you for having me.
Well, we definitely appreciate you taking your time out to speak with us at the block. It doesn't go unnoticed at all. And I definitely think you dropped some amazing gems. And hopefully, people, when you watch this, you'll take some of the words that he spoke today and use that to push yourself further in your own grind as a creative and as a creative entrepreneur. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Reshare this, replay this, send it to a friend who may feel like the blocks aren't forming the way they should, and just let this be a source of inspiration from one Black creative to another. And again, we appreciate you and we thank you for your time.
Thank you, homie.
All right, thank you. Bye.